wonder, how in the world am I going to fit all of this in? What could I do to set myself up for success this year? It's just too much. It's impossible. How can I do it all? Well, today I'm going to share with you my 7 tips that I've used over the years to have a successful school year. Join me as I share these tips with you. Hi, my name is Amy, and welcome to my channel. On this channel, you're going to hear homeschool tips, encouragement, and life coaching tips for moms. Tip number 1, the very first thing I like to do before I ever start my school year is I like to take a look at chores. I like to create a new chore list if I need to tweak it or change it, or maybe you have some children who have gotten old enough that they can really help you. Maybe they couldn't before. I like to take a look at what each child is capable of doing. But before I even do that, I look at what do I need to do to help my household run smoothly. Because if your household is running smoothly and the chores are getting done, then it's a lot easier to get to school. But if you have to do all of the chores and you do everything yourself and you're trying to take care of the home, do all the laundry, do all the cooking and all the cleaning, and you're trying to homeschool and maybe you have other things going on, it's pretty difficult. So start by making a list of all the chores. As you can see, I've broken down my chore list and I wrote down what things need to be accomplished in a week. Now, one thing I left out is the major house cleaning, where we tend to go through and we vacuum the entire house and mop the floors and clean the bathrooms, what you might call a weekly home blessing, something that kind of needs to be done weekly, a deeper clean. I save that for the weekends. At one time, I did it on Friday and we schooled 4 days a week to leave that day open. But right now, I save that for the weekends because all of my kids are old enough to pitch in and help. And it's not such a big job when everyone works. Many hands make light work. But these are all chores that just need to be accomplished during the week outside of the weekly home blessing. And as you can see, I divided them up and I put a day of the week beside each one. And then I thought about what child was going to be at home on those days. My older son is now at work 3 days a week, so I left him off of this and just added in a couple helpful things on the days he's at home that he can pitch in and help with. But right now I have 3 kids at home who are able to help and do chores throughout the day. I broke it down between them and thought about what I needed to do. And that's not on the list. But what you do see on the list are the things that they're going to do. And as you can see, it's not a whole lot because, like I've said before, many hands make light work and many people make a lot of work. So it takes a lot more to keep up with things. The more children that you have, the more often that you're going to need to spot clean or clean up things. And that's how this helps my school year to run smoothly in this first tip. So on top of creating my chore list, I also like to train the kids in their new chores before we start school. Now, this year, it's easy for me to dive right in because I've been doing this for years upon years. But when the kids were small, we took about a week or more to train and get everyone into their routine and rhythm of doing chores. Over the years, I've used chore charts or chore cards that they toted around with them. Now I'm to the point I just make a list and they just get it done from there. And then I do have to follow up because you can't expect what you won't inspect. So occasionally you have to pop in there and make sure it's actually getting done. Tip number 2, look over your curriculum, all of your curriculum, and look and see what is it that you need. Do you need binders, paper? Maybe you're out of pencils, or your pencil sharpener broke and you need a new pencil sharpener. Whatever it is, look all of that over. Maybe you need special things for art projects or science experiments. Go ahead, get all of those things and be ready because there's nothing more frustrating than trying to start school and not having the necessary supplies or needing scissors and they're all gone. Who wants to spend 10 minutes looking for scissors? You can have 20 pair, but if they're all hidden and tucked away and you can't find them when you need them, I don't want to spend time looking for them. So Whatever it is, when I come up on a project and I needed air dried clay, it would have been nice to have that on hand and not be looking for it or looking up a recipe and trying to make it from scratch. I know I've learned over the years, I don't make air dried clay. I have recipes. I don't want to fool with that. I just buy a bucket of air dried clay that works. It works every time. I seal it up. We use it later if that's what I need. But whatever it is, go ahead and look through. Maybe you want to do 5 to 10 weeks if it's intensive art or science experiments that are going to need a lot of things. But at least get them in for the semester, for 10 weeks, whatever that time period is, and be ready. That is going to make your homeschool start go much more smoothly if you have all your supplies and you're all ready to go. Tip number 3, work on a new schedule. Okay, I don't like a schedule. I don't like to be boxed in by these boxes in these 30-minute time increments. But what I found over the years was I thought that I could do way more than I could actually do. How about you? Do you think that, oh, sure, I can cook a meal and be doing math with this kid and teach spelling at the same time to this other one? Yeah, not gonna work. It doesn't work in real life. It certainly doesn't work on paper. So what I like to do at the beginning of the year is make a schedule. Eventually we flow it into a routine, but the schedule that I'm making is more for me. It is to show me, do I think that I can do way more than I can actually do? This sets me up for success because instead of being frustrated and wondering, where'd all my time go? Why can't I seem to get anything done? Hello? Instead, I know where my time went. So I lay this out on a poster board. Over the years, it's kind of gotten to this where I just lay it out on a poster board. And as you can see, I have my Post-it notes and I have the time. And these are all small Post-it notes and each child is color coordinated. And then I just move them around. I write down everything. I go to my curriculum and I look for how much time each subject is going to take for each kid. So whatever it is that I've planned, I do my research. In this case, I've been using Heart of Dakota curriculum, and they have a guide, the chart that I found on their Facebook group that tells me how long to expect for each box or subject that is in their guide. And then I estimate for math and vocabulary and grammar and things that are not included with that program. And I write those times down on some of the sticky notes so I know about how long to expect. Now, as you'll see, sometimes I have a 20-minute written down on the sticky note, but I actually gave a 30-minute time slot. Now, the reason I did this is to give myself a buffer because you know how it goes. It always takes longer than you expect. Something comes in and throws a kink in. So I always plan a little extra wiggle room. Now, when you have babies and toddlers or unexpected things pop up like that and it's a routine thing for you, whatever it is, you might need to plan even more wiggle room in your day and just have these specific things that are kind of your anchors for the day. So for me, my anchor was our breakfast time. I knew, especially in the young years, I knew about the time everyone wanted to eat. And then I looked at our lunchtime, and then I looked at their afternoon snack time, and I kind of plugged those in, and I plugged our school around that because for one, you don't want them to be doing math when it's almost lunchtime and they're hungry and they don't want to keep going, or maybe their brains just shut down. So I think about that first. I move the sticky notes around. At the beginning of this, I had way too much planned. So then I had to go back and I had to move things around and I had to delete things. I had to think about what wasn't important to me because finishing earlier than what I saw it was going to happen was more important to me than doing every single box in my curriculum. I felt like it was a little bit much because I added in some other things, some workbooks that I really wanted my girls to do. So that's when I move things around. Sometimes you have to move like their piano or switch out the subjects to a time of day that works really well for you. Over the years, you can see some of the schedules that I have laid out, and you can see our start time was really early. I only showed you the first page. I didn't show you the second page of all of them, but these were the years when I had all 4 kids. This is a template that I found from Managers of Their Home book, and I bought that book a long time ago to help me learn this process. And with this template, I then plug everything in, and I make sure that I have activities and have things. Like I said, with babies and toddlers, it's unexpected. My babies and toddlers were not very scheduled, but at least I had an idea of what I could do with them. And I also like to put on these schedules where each child was going to be, because they might be in different rooms. Maybe the older ones had to go to a quiet room so they could work on their independent work. And I tried to think through this, and I thought through, where am I going to be in the house with them working on this subject, and where is this child going to be that's going to be occupied? So that's just my tip number 3 for you, is working on your schedule so that you are not frustrated right at the very beginning. Tip number 4, come up with an easy breakfast rotation list. Now, I know this sounds like, duh, I know that these people eat, but it's really easy to think, oh, I think I'm going to make a special breakfast this morning for everyone. And hello, your whole day is derailed. Or you just wonder, what am I going to feed them again? Now, at the stage I'm at, I don't have to worry about that because all of my children are independent. But when they were all younger, we all had breakfast together. It was easier to make one breakfast and clean up from it. So having a breakfast rotation list so that I could just quickly go through. And maybe you have older ones who can help make the oatmeal or make the eggs, whatever that might be, and they're your kitchen helper. Tip number 5, along the same lines, make an easy lunch rotation list, because lunches can derail your day too. Anytime you can make your meals run smoothly so that they don't take up the bulk of your day, everything will run better, as long as you're not spending an hour on lunch and an hour on breakfast. Do you see how quickly your day could just be gone and whittled away? Tip number 6, come up with activities to keep those toddlers occupied, because I'm telling you, if you don't occupy the toddlers, they're going to cause trouble. They're going to be into everything. So come up with different activities that you can actually occupy them for amounts of time. Maybe you have special toys that you put in a box and you put away and you only bring out for school time. At one time, I had a toy rotation where I had boxes and I put different toys that they already had into these boxes, and Monday had a special box. Tuesday had a special box. So it felt like the toys were new. Come up with activities. Maybe it's Play-Doh or water beads. Water beads are so fun. They can be messy with big kids though, so sometimes you have to keep the big kids out. You have to think about what will work. There were many times when I would do grammar with my boys while my little girls were playing in the driveway outside, and I was sitting in the garage watching the girls play in the driveway. And I would do grammar, and then one boy would go off and I would do grammar with the other one, or spelling, or whatever it was. Those simple subjects we would do in quick little bursts while they would take turns getting up and playing. Last tip, tip number 7. Here we are. Pray. Maybe this should have been tip number 1, but really, at this point, pray. Look at your schedule. See what's going to need to be rearranged. And maybe you've done the best that you can do. You've thought of everything and you've got it all outlined on paper and it works. But when you try to run the schedule, it doesn't work so well. Then it's time to move those sticky notes around. That's why the first way that you start is with the sticky notes on a poster board, because they're really easy to move around. I didn't make the computer schedule until after I saw that it worked. And depending on your kids' ages and stages and what's going on in your life, you might want to ease in slowly. Only start by doing half of the day, and then the next day adding in a little bit more and a little bit more, because that first week or 2 as you teach your kids the routine and the schedule is hard. Really, really hard. Keep praying, but keep your eyes open for where you need to be flexible and where you need to move things around. That's all I have for you today. Check out some other homeschool tips, encouragement, and life coaching for moms by joining my channel. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be notified when there's a new video. Thanks for watching.